I am stealing Pipkin Pippa's time slot. I actually talked to her. She's like, "Oh, I can't stream today. Can't stream today. I'm sad." It's okay. I will steal your time slot, woman, which is what I'm doing. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. One more thing about a suggestion that I keep getting. V, Twitter is a mistake. Get off Twitter. Dude, I have to use it. It's my job. Okay? Like, this is what I do for a living. I need Twitter, unfortunately. Not to talk to people, but to read the news. It's important. Until a better option comes that I will have all the journalists and corporations on it, I have to use Twitter. What's about the volume? The volume is fine. If you have an issue with the volume, you need to turn your speakers up a little bit. V, I want you to know I never watch VTubers, and YouTube is now recommending me to watch Pipkin Pippa. I will tell you why YouTube is doing that. Dude, the volume is fine. Jesus, what is wrong with you? Look. It's like testing 1, 2, 3. The volume is great. It is amazing. Yeah, it's the Yeti stereo microphone. Like, I'm sorry. It's fine. But there is okay, look. If you look at your speakers, there is a dial, right? Similar to this. You can try turn it to the right, and then you will hear me better. So if you have audio issues, this is my troubleshooting, okay? First try turning your speakers on and off, and then just go to your dial, like try to find it, it's on your speaker, and then move it to the right a little bit, and you're going to hear me just fine. Now I will tell you why the internet is recommending Pipkin Pippa to you. You're probably subscribed to other channels, and the people subscribed to those channels go to her, so that's why YouTube is recommending. I noticed that's one way the algorithm works. Like, it watches which channels you're subscribed to, and then it sees the type of audience from those channels, what they watch, and it's one of the reasons why it's being recommended to you. The stream is quiet compared to everyone else. Well, when you go to other people, you lower the volume. You move the dial to the left. When you go to my stream, you move the dial to the right. Simple. Now, let's talk about the mystery, chat. The mystery, the pipeline which blew up. Everyone in the press is very concerned about it. And there's different suspects. And we're going to discuss it today. But first, let's wait for more people to join, because I don't want to talk about the same thing twice. When you're on a live stream, you start talking about something, then more people join. Like what? So I'll start talking about it 10 minutes in the live stream. How about that? Now, there's a video game. I rarely promote video games, but this one is great. It's in early access, but despite the fact that it's in early access, it's got everything working. It's playable. It is enjoyable. It's called Terra Invicta. It's XCOM, but for X. So you're going to defend the Earth from an alien invasion, and you do this by subverting nations. You're not really playing as a business or a faction. No, you're playing as an ideology. So you need to have operatives which subvert various nations by getting into the mass media, getting into the legislative program, getting into the government. And then once you subvert the nation, you use its resources in order to build spaceships, do research, even gain control of their military to annex or defeat other nations, or use their military to fight against the aliens. It's a really amazing game. Highly suggest it. Terra Invicta. Try looking it up. Alright, so I've been playing it for I think like 5 hours now, and I still haven't reached all of it. Like, it's got a massive research tree. You start on the Earth, but then you go into space and you colonize the solar system. You fight the aliens on the Earth, but you also fight them in space. It's really amazing. Alright. Hello, Spoon. Anything else you guys want to talk about? We still have 5 minutes. It's Imperium of Man, an ideology. Yes, you actually do have a faction that doesn't even want to talk to the aliens, and is also against anyone that interacts with the aliens. So it's fighting the other factions as well, not just the alien threat. Terra Invicta sounds like Command and Conquer. No, it's a 4X game. It's more like Stellaris, Europea Universalis, that type of thing. By the way, let's go back to the current modern politics. I looked at the whole European situation with the gas. And I want to say that besides the UK and Germany, most other nations are fine. There's going to be difficulty in the winter. And even with Germany, it's going to be certain parts of Germany, but mostly it's fine. Now, fine as in you're going to pay probably 20% more for the gas and for heating and everything, but you're not going to freeze to death. Like, things were worse under communism, at least here in Eastern Europe, and I think Eastern Europeans are used to it, but Westerners probably not. However, the only nations that are the most affected are Germany and the UK. Germany is affected because it decided to bank all of its natural resource on 2 major pipelines, the size of Donald Trump's cock, coming from Russia into Germany. And not only Poland and Ukraine, but all the Baltic states and Donald Trump was against Germany doing that. But if you look at the history of Germany, not only is there a video that debunked Donald Trump and said, oh, well, Donald Trump is spreading misinformation. Only a small part of the German economy is reliant on those pipelines. And the Germans gave Donald Trump the perfect response. They laughed at him. That's an actual video from MSLSD, by the way. And it didn't age very well. I mean, it aged well for Trump, not well for MSLSD. Now, the Germans are having difficulties. Obviously so. They need to find alternative sources of energy. But the British are also experiencing problems. The British, mostly due to the fact that they were getting gas from Norway. And Norway is now selling gas to Germany, right? So they're indirectly affected by the situation, which puts the British in a very difficult position. I have seen certain British people on Twitter who own various establishments, like, for example, a coffee shop, and they were saying that usually they were getting £2,000 per electricity bill, and now they're getting £10,000 per month, and they point out that that is not sustainable. For the first time, I have to agree with someone that says it's not sustainable because, yeah, you can't do business like that. I mean, if you have a small coffee shop, you already get effed in the A by the pandemic, and now you're getting effed in the A by the prices. So it's not very good. Yeah, the British are going to definitely have it rough. Then the Germans. The French also will have it rough for some reason, and I don't know whether or not it's legit, as in it had to be done. But they put a lot of their nuclear reactors on maintenance. So, as you know, the French, they have a lot of reactors, which are nuclear, they're green, they didn't want to shut them down, but they decided to go on maintenance. Now, I don't know whether or not the maintenance was required. I assume unless, like in my opinion, during an energy crisis, unless you're approaching the reactor and the giga counter goes, maybe you shouldn't shut it down during the winter. You know, maybe you should do the maintenance during the spring. That's just my take, but okay, whatever, right? Belgium is shutting down its reactors. Same argument can be used there. Like, dude, unless you go with the giga counter and the dial starts wobbling, maybe you should leave it on for a little bit more. But the increase in cost isn't catastrophic. Other nations like Romania, Poland, we're doing fine. Hungary, not so much. Hungary is a nation where their citizens are a lot more poor than Romanians on average. Like the average Romanian has more money than the average Hungarian. And it's also a nation without gas, without natural resources. So Orban, like a lot of people are accusing him that he's a Putinist. I don't think that's the case. I think that he is a cynical man and is wondering, it's like, okay, well, winter is coming. I don't want to get lynched by my people. If I can turn off the Russian gas, what am I going to get in exchange? Like, where will I get gas from? And from what I understand, when he's being cut, like there were some deals that were being cut. Some other nations wanted to export gas to him. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if you're going to give me a little bit, then I'll turn off the gas from the Russians a little bit, right? So that's why the Hungarians are considered, why Viktor Orban is pro-Putin. No, it's not pro-Putin. He's pro-keeping his head on his shoulders. Because, yeah, his old people might not understand why the actual Putin gas hikes in that situation would exist. Now, with that out of the way, Germany is a very interesting country. If you look at the history of Germany, most of the environmentalist NGOs have been funded by Moscow, if not directed by Moscow, or got money by alternative means from Moscow. There's a famous TV show, Deutschland, where they actually give sources and they talk about the NGOs themselves, and they explain how Moscow is using their influence in order to convince the German people to sabotage their energy independence so that they can get more gas from Russia. And if you look at something very fascinating, you will see that the European Union considers gas to be green now. I'm not kidding. They consider gas to be a transitionary thing to green energy, which is why Germany decided to put two major pipelines coming from Russia into Germany, because now it's green, right? So that's Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. Let me see the article so you guys don't think that I'm bullshitting, because it sounds just so bewildering, right? Look here. Look here, you bigot. The EU is calling natural gas green, but critics aren't buying it. Well, of course they're not buying it, because it makes no fucking sense. And the reason it makes no fucking sense is if you look at it through the European Union is trying to save us from the weather. If you look at it like that, then yeah, it makes no fucking sense. If you look at it through the prism of Germany wants to have energy while other nations shouldn't, then it makes all fucking sense. Sorry, Aiden. It is what it is. The common problem with all of these is the low IQ government bureaucrats are in charge of the gas instead of greedy corporations. No, it's not like that. You say that, the government officials are stupid. No, the government officials know exactly what they're doing, right? Like, the NGOs, which are funded by Moscow, they wanted for Germany to not have nuclear energy. They wanted for Germany to not burn its own coal. They wanted for Germany to not cut its own forest, as biorenewables, they call them now. And instead, they wanted for Germany to have Russian gas, simple as. And the people voted for that. Natural gas burns very clean. Okay. Now, with that out of the way, let's look at some of the people who had a reason to sabotage the pipelines. Because I'm going to assume it's sabotage, right? Like, for the sake of the conversation, I know that the results aren't in yet, but all the experts are saying that due to the fact that there were 3 explosions and due to the nature of it, it's extremely unlikely that it's not sabotage. So let's start the discussion like that, okay? The pipe was sabotage. Now, I don't think we're ever going to find out who did it. Maybe in a couple of decades, when the Secret Service agencies of various nations reveal their documents, right? Like, this happens in every country after like 40 or 50 years. the documents get unsealed. Maybe then we will know. But until then, I honestly doubt that we're going to find out. Maybe until every person that's involved is long gone, and you can't punish anyone, maybe then. But I don't think we're going to ever find out, and I'll give you the reasons as to why. And of course, all the nations are going to use their current political interests in order to blame each other. Like the Ukraine, obviously, is going to blame Russia. Russia is going to blame the United States. The United States is going to blame Russia, so on and so forth, right? And then you're going to have the allies. Like Belarus is going to obviously blame the US. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like that's what's going to be officially stated. Unofficially, however, people are going to probably, like the prime minister of various nations, are going to receive an intelligence report. And for the sake of the argument, hypothetically, if the Americans did it, Germany is going to do what? Like, okay, the Americans did it. And, like, what is the next play? What you gonna do? You know, in international conflicts, the question is, you and what army? I mean, the US will deny it, Germany will be upset, but we're going to get to that in a bit, right? Let's talk about who did it. Again, the question is wrong, not who did it. Who had motive, right? Who had a reason to do it? So everyone here on television is Russia. Anyone to me that says Russia did it with a certainty, as if they're saying 2 + 2 = 4, I will never listen to that person ever again. Like, I don't think they... Like, first of all, again, if you say, oh, this person did it, like this country did it, and you're certain, you're not an intellectual. Like, let's be honest. You just can't know, especially so early. Like, it's not even established whether or not it's sabotage, right? And you're saying, oh, well, they did it. It's like, okay. Never listen to that person ever again. But let's look at Russia. It's their own fucking pipeline, right? I mean, half of it, or like a big chunk of it, is on their end. For several months, the press told me that Putin is using gas in order to blackmail Europe. Right? Like that is, he weaponized gas in order to control the countries of Europe. That's what the media has told me, and they're right to an extent. Right? Like that, I can't disagree with that. Why the fuck would it take the gas now off the table? Like, the only reason that, in fact, not the main reason that countries in Europe would stop supporting Ukraine is because their own population, which notices the increase in prices, which have to live in the cold, would say enough. So, under pressure from the public, eventually countries could say, okay, you know, we're going to back out, can we have our gas back? Right? So why would he take that off the table? Because that's what happens when you destroy the current pipe stream, where there wasn't gas flowing through it anyway. Right? Like the pipes were closed. So by destroying them, you're making sure that Germany cannot negotiate with Russia to end not hostilities, but to end the embargo. Right? That's what it does. So I'm really trying to think, and the only reason that I can think of why Russia would destroy their own pipeline would be as a false flag operation, right? So they want someone else to be blamed, right? So you're destroying your own pipeline, hoping that another country will take the blame. But like, again, as I mentioned before, even if every nation in Europe would think that the US did it, like, first of all, some nations would like that. We're going to look at it in a bit. Like Poland, for example, would love that. And secondly, and what? Like, what do you do next? There's nothing you can do at this point, right? You don't have an army to go against you. Nothing will change. So I don't really see the thing, especially since you have to think about it from Russia's perspective. At one point, the embargoes will be lifted. Whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, eventually the embargoes will be lifted. And I assume they will still want to trade gas with Europe, which means they would want the pipeline to be there. Gamergate did it. Probably, K. Smith. I haven't thought that far. Right. So, the probability of Russia doing it, in my opinion, is incredibly low. Unless someone can tell me a good reason that I haven't thought about it yet. Unless someone can tell, well, they did it because blah, and I'll be, you know what, like that actually, yeah, that does make sense. But again, it's their pipeline. Like they already shut down the valve. There's a valve there, right? They shut it down. They don't have to destroy the thing. It's their fucking thing. So I don't get that. Sticks, Hex, and Hammer came up with a different thing. It's like to send a message, right? To send a message that they're not interested in trading with Europe. So it's like a symbolic thing. But even then, if they would do that as a message, why do it undercover? Why not just make a public display of it? Because like part of it is through their territory. So they could just destroy the part of it that's in their territory, and that's it. Like they wouldn't have to, you know, to do this thing under subterfuge and then deny that they did it. Like, it makes no sense. The second people that would have interest, and this is a direct interest, would be Ukraine. Now, Ukraine, obviously, they wouldn't want Germany to come to the negotiations with Russia and say, look, we decided we don't want to take part into the sanctions anymore. We just want to back away. We want our gas back. Well, under this situation, I don't think it's likely, because Ukraine would be risking way too much. Like, it would be risking way too much for doing something like this. The response from NATO would be unknown. A lot of people would start to, like, right now Ukraine is viewed as in a very positive light throughout Europe. Like, I don't know the exact percent. I haven't seen the polls in the United States, but in Europe, besides Hungary and maybe a couple of other countries, the conflict in Ukraine is viewed as everyone should help Ukraine as much as possible. Like, this is in the polling of the citizens. So if you were to do something like that, you would completely destroy your reputation. So I do not think that Ukraine did it. Germany. Now, the thing was, like, I thought about it, and Germany could have done it, but again, unlikely. Why would Germany do it? Well, you get pressure from your own citizens that you need to turn up the gas. So your own citizens, it's a growing number of them, especially that winter is coming. They're going to put heavy pressure on their own politicians, like, hey, turn on the gas. But now, if there's no pipeline, there's nothing to turn on. So what do you do? Right? And then the people that would be for peace talks and for negotiations, well, that's off the table. Because even if there's peace and negotiations, well, there's no more gas. V, you just reset yourself into it. Putin needs to show gas oligarchs that there is no way back to normalcy and thus remove impetus for peace. I guess that's a possibility, but even then, the problem with Russia isn't the oligarchs, which can sell their gas elsewhere. And again, at this point, even if there was peace, it's unlikely that Europe is going to return to normal, to the previous way. I mean, Germany is going to get pressured into not doing business with Russia anyway. But the main problem with Russia is the mobilization. Like, there's actual Russian soldiers that are coming back in caskets. Usually families don't like that very much. That's the main problem with Russia. It's the fact that they require to mobilize soldiers. Yeah, I mean, you know, it is an argument. Yes, like, Putin could have destroyed the own pipeline in order to get the gas oligarchs off his ass. But again, I highly unlikely. Because usually it's the presidency that controls the oligarchs, not the other way around. Now, another interesting suspect, as we can see here, this is the... I had to check this 2 times just to make sure that it's real. I couldn't believe it. This came out within minutes after it was announced that the pipe is down. This is a MEP from Poland, right? Chairman, EU-USA delegation, VP, EU-UK Friendship Group, Senior Fellow Harvard, Distinguished Statesman, right? And he is saying, thank you, USA. And then he goes on in detail. It says, by the way, there's no shortage of pipeline capacity for taking gas from Russia to Western Europe, including Germany. Nord Stream's only logic was for Putin to be able to blackmail or wage war on Eastern Europe with impunity. All Ukrainian and Baltic Sea states have opposed Nord Stream construction for 20 years. Now 20 billion of scrap metal lies at the bottom of the sea, another cost to Russia of its criminal decision to invade Ukraine. Sawan, MFA Russia did special maintenance operation. Right? So, this is a good point. Poland is directly interested, especially other Eastern European states, including Romania, are directly interested into the Nord Stream pipelines not to exist. The whole idea of the Nord Stream pipelines, as the Polish MEP mentioned, is to allow Russia to do whatever it wants in Eastern Europe. Because the concept is, right, so Russia uses NGOs, environmental NGOs, in order to convince the German population to destroy their energy independence and be completely energetically dependent on Russia. Which means that the heart of the European Union, the engine of the European Union, would not be able to issue sanctions or to send military aid or to do anything against Russia because they're getting gas from Russia, right? Like they would become like a sovereign state. So it is in the interest of Poland, my country, and many other Eastern Europeans that this doesn't happen. So if you're talking about motive, yes, Poland would definitely have a motive. They would also have the military capacity to carry it out. Yeah, like as you can see, there are people from Poland, the EMPs, that are very happy that this happened. Like literally minutes after it came into the news. Then you can have the United States. Now the United States, they have this viral video with Joe Biden saying that, oh well, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline isn't going to happen. And a reporter asks him, well, how do you know? Like, it's on the German side. Like, isn't it up to the Germans? And Joe Biden says, well, no, we have ways to deal with it. So, yeah, I mean, they have to gain in the fact that now Germany can't come to the negotiations table with Russia. Russia lost its leverage. It is very possible. Again, it's also possible that you can have many countries, like the United States could work with countries from Eastern Europe. Like there can be even an alliance of countries that agreed with this. The thing is, right, because I genuinely lean to think that it was an alliance of countries and not just the US or any other country acting alone. I think there was like an international consensus for this. And the reason that I'm banking this on is that eventually it will be found out. Like, I live on the internet. You know, when someone on a Discord does something, like eventually someone talks, eventually someone speaks, eventually someone brags. And then things get found out. Now, the international fallout of something like this is not going to be World War III. Trump actually said, oh, this is going to lead to war. No. The international fallout of something like this, on the short term, is not going to mean anything. So even if, like, let's say tomorrow, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the US would recognize, yes, we did it. Nothing would happen. Because it would be like, okay, so what you gonna do about it? Nothing, right? In the long run, however, and I'm afraid that this actually will happen in the long run, even if no perpetrator is found, or even if they do find out who is, and it's someone other than Germany or Russia, especially Germany is going to want to build up a military. Like they're going to try to find a way. Either it's like a EU army, or it's going to be, like Germany trying to negotiate at the international scale to change its constitution and allow itself to have a... There's going to be something where Germany is going to try to move away from the US. And by Germany, it means the entire European Union is going to try to find a way to gain independence from the US. That's probably what the long-term, and I'm talking like far future, international consequences are going to be like. Americans did it, but it was accepted by more than one NATO members. I think that is likely, yes. I think that is likely. I think that there was a coalition of nations which agreed to this, and otherwise I don't see it going forward. But again, it's also possible that Germany or Russia did it, right? Like Germany would have done it in order to get their own people to stop rebelling. Because again, like if you're a person, look, if you're a German patriot, I don't know if those exist, but let's assume you're a German patriot and you realize that all of these NGOs and all of these things, they're pressuring you to become dependent on Russia, and they subverted your population in order to demand for this to be the case. Even after the war, you would probably be like, maybe it's not such a good idea. Maybe we want to be independent, but like the people don't understand that. So what can we do? Well, we're not going to get gas from Russia, might as well blow the pipe. Like that's also a hypothesis. Unlikely, but still. And the other one, which I got from the chat, is that the Russian oligarchs, right, like the oil oligarchs, they're pressuring Kremlin. They're like, look, you need to end the war. We want to sell our gas. And Russia goes like, all right, well, we're going to blow the pipe. But like, even then, no, like I just don't see it happening, because the pipe is way too important in the ability of Russia to negotiate and sue for peace. Because after the war, right, like Russia will want the sanctions lifted. And in order to lift those sanctions, Russia will have to give something back. Now, if it has gas, then it can be like, look, give you gas at a cheaper price. Just lift the sanctions, por favor. But alternatively, if it doesn't have gas, then the sanctions, they can be like, okay, well, we lift the sanctions, you pull back from Ukraine, you pay war reparations to it, blah, blah, blah. Like, they don't have anything at the table at that point. USA immediately blaming the least plausible candidate is a strong indication that the US did it. No, like, I think that most nations on the international scales, they have speeches based on their immediate interests. So it's not surprising that the US is blaming Russia. Like, the aliens can invade Earth right now and the US will blame Russia. There's no... This is something that you notice when you look at the international scale of things. Internationally, when speeches are given, nations aren't interested in getting to the bottom of the truth. Like, all nations have an international agenda, and they look from the prism of their international agenda in order to make assessments. Like, you will never, ever get, like, an accurate assessment of a situation by listening to what the nation says internationally. I mean, for example, what is the latest conflict? In Azerbaijan, I think, is the latest conflict. Azerbaijan conflict. Who's Azerbaijan fighting? The Karabakh war, huh? Okay, Armenia and Azerbaijan. I think Azerbaijan. Okay, if I'm making mistakes, please let me know. Like, when I looked into it yesterday, it's still fresh in my memory. But most countries from Europe are trying to strike deals with Azerbaijan because they want access to resources. So internationally, there's a conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, right? Now, if Azerbaijan manages to strike a deal with Europe, it's in a position to do whatever the fuck it wants with the Armenians, like, literally. I'm not even, like, they can do whatever the fuck. And you're going to see that Europe is going to side with Azerbaijan. And they're going to be, oh yes, absolutely, the Azerbaijani are right, 100%. The Armenians, 100% in the wrong. Because it's the interests of European states to get resources from Azerbaijan. That's why. If they had interest in getting resources from Armenia, then they would have been, no, Azerbaijan wrong. 100%. Ask Cenk about it. I don't give a fuck what Cenk thinks. This is not about ideology. Like, it's literally not about ideology. It's 100% about resources. A free and independent Germany, or Europe for that matter, is a bad thing for the world. You assholes can't stop Minecrafting each other for resources. You need Daddy Pax America and you like it. I 100% agree with your assessment. The reason Europe was one of the most developed places on Earth is due to the fact that Europeans were amazing at waging war. The geography of Europe allows for countries to fight each other, but it's very difficult to have the final victory. Because, well, you know, between France and Britain, there's an ocean, there's mountains that are plaguing the countryside, and whatever, right? Like, it's very difficult to have one nation that conquers all, like a big empire. So because of that, European nations have waged war throughout history. And while waging war, people don't have time for nonsense, and they have to constantly develop and produce new technology. So, just so you can understand how good Europeans were at waging war, they went through other places, like when they got bored with fighting each other, they went through other nations on ships, and they waged war with other people, and they conquered everything. And then when they come back into Europe, they started two of the most destructive wars that the world has ever seen, World War I and World War II. And when someone decided to piss off the Europeans, some of which were in the United States at the time, when someone decides to piss them off, I mean really piss them off, the Europeans decided to split the atom, invent a completely different and new technology, and opened up new branches and avenues of science, and they dropped not one but two fucking atomic bombs on the people that pissed them off. So, yeah, when it comes to Europeans, if left alone, it's bad for humanity. Which is why it's good if the United States guarantees peace in Europe. I remember when, Trevor Noah, he was like, oh, why are people like, when two African nations are fighting, no one cares, but when Ukraine and Russia go at it, when two white nations go at it, everyone freaks out. It's like, yeah, because they have nukes. I mean, every war is bad, right? But like, it's not as concerning as when a nuclear power is getting close to fighting with another nuclear power. Like, we don't want to know the end of that, because nuclear war means the end of humanity, period. Like, it's game over. No one wins. Everyone dies. Not good. So that is why it's concerning. Now, the current deal is that throughout history, most European nations fought each other. However, now that the United States is guaranteeing the security of Europe with its massive big dick military, European nations aren't interested in fighting each other, and they're developing their energy elsewhere. Such as pushing queer ideology into schools or whatever. You know, new avenues of science, developing new technology for surveillance. Everything besides fighting each other, which is good. I like that. Thank you, Amerikansky. But think about it, seriously. Like, if it wasn't for the Americas, everyone in Europe would be suspicious of each other. So everyone would start developing their own military. Now, when you develop your military, you have to spend it somewhere, because otherwise it's wasted money. Like, you want to use the things that you do. So you have to get into conflicts. I mean, for example, this is something that I genuinely didn't know. If you make a bomb, there's two ways of getting rid of the bomb. Like, the bomb has an expiration date. And the bomb can be a missile, it can be an intercontinental missile, it can be a rocket, whatever, right? You have the bomb. The bomb has an expiration date, after which is unsafe. So you have to get rid of it. Now, there's two ways of getting rid of it. Either you fire it at something, or you decommission it. What shocked me, and I literally didn't know this, like decommissioning costs more than just throwing it out, than just exploding it. Because you need a team of specialists to come and disarm it. It's actually a lot more expensive. So what most militaries do is they try to use it. Now you can use it in a field exercise, but even that has limits. So eventually you have to start a conflict somewhere. You either sell it to someone else or you start a conflict. This is why a lot of the times the United States is very happy when there's a conflict somewhere. Like if you guys remember when Donald Trump went to Syria with I believe it was like the German, no, not the German, the British Navy, the French Navy, and they threw some missiles on a Syrian airfield or something. And immediately the press was concerned. It's like, oh my god, like how many millions of dollars did he use? Yeah, but like he actually saved money by doing that, because like all of those things had to be decommissioned. So by using them, you actually save money, right? So my point is, if it wasn't for the United States, if Europe would have its own army, and it wouldn't have like the protection of the US, and they would have to constantly upgrade their army and constantly invest money into it, eventually you want to deploy them somewhere. So it's actually better for the world that the United States exists. A good question was asked in my chat. If the US did it, which is attacking Germany's infrastructure, would that constitute an activation of Article 5 against the US? Well, if that would happen, the Germans would never make a public statement about it. Most nations would hand wave it, and behind closed doors, they would talk about what do we do in the future, right? Because there were a lot of Americans saying, okay, and if we did it, so what? Like, why is the moral problem? Well, the moral problem is would be attacking the energy infrastructure, which is a national risk, which is the part of national security, and you're attacking the energy grid of an allied nation. I mean, that's... No, I genuinely think that there was a coalition of nations, right? That's my assessment. Yeah, it's also possible that Germany accepted it. Again, like, everyone has to win. The only people losing is going to be the German people and Russia. But Germany wins from this, right? It loses the internal pressure from within its own borders of citizens demanding that the gas resumes. Because now there's, like, okay, even if you want to, like, there's no more gas, right? And there's no more pipeline. Even if you fix it, it doesn't guarantee that you can... it won't be attacked again. So, yes, like, even the German politicians have to win. Didn't they recently refocus their efforts on nuclear power? I don't know. I mean, maybe? Coalition makes most sense. Yeah, it probably does, because the United States, even though if it would have done this, it still needs allies in the region. You can't just, oh, well, we're going to fuck with the European Union and there's no consequences. No, like, you need some allies. You need some people on board. Watch it be something stupid, like a feeder tanker dragging its anchor accidentally. Well, like 3 times? Like, they went once, it dragged its anchor, they didn't notice, and then twice. By the way, fun fact, apparently where the water is bubbling right now, and I love the fact that Forbes is like, oh my god, the environmentalist nation. Oh, it's like, motherfucker, you know, like, you should be concerned about the political fallout. Like, trust me, World War III is a lot more harmful for the environment than this. It's not going to be World War III, but I'm just saying. This point doesn't have buoyancy. So if a ship actually manages to pass over it, like you said, you know, with the anchor, it falls in. I still can't imagine how that's like. Like, how does the ship, you know, like, it goes over water and it just falls in? But apparently that's the case. I'm not a physicist. But it is interesting. It's like Doesn't have buoyancy. That's not water. That's a mix of water and gas. Probably. I don't know. It's gas, not water. So if you swim over it, you fall inside. So that's so fucking interesting. Too much air in water will make a ship sink. Well, apparently, yeah, like that's what I've been told. It's that's probably one of the reasons why it's so difficult to fix. So a lot of people were asking, well, what if they want to fix it? Well, if they want to fix it, first of all, even if there's political will, from what I understand, the damages are done in such a way that it's incredibly difficult to fix. Secondly, the water is very cold right now. Like, it's one thing to just have a quick dip and get the job done, set the explosives, but it's another and more difficult thing to actually stay underwater under long periods of times and fixing it. And then, it doesn't guarantee that someone is not going to attack it again. Now, the CIA apparently warned Germany that this is going to happen. But, like, my question is, like, and what do you do with the warning? Like, even if the CIA warned them, like, what can they possibly do with that information? We're not talking about a building, right? Because it's one thing, like, if the CIA says, hey, you know, like, this building may be under threat. It's like, okay, well, then you guard the building. And even if you were to say a neighborhood. But when it's a pipeline that's thousands of kilometers long, in the middle of international water, like, how are you going to guard it? Even if you have, like, because it doesn't take that long to send the charges, right? Even if you have, like, some ships patrolling the area, like, it's not enough. The span of length of the whole thing is way too big. How did the CIA know? Oh, well, they're intelligent, right? It's the intelligence agency. They're intelligent. What I don't understand is... Yeah, another reason why I think there's a coalition is because it wasn't done earlier. Like, it would have been a lot more sense if this was done several months before. But instead, it's being done right before winter. So I assume, like, they had to get many nations on board with this. Then it's in the fucking name. It's Central Intelligence Agency, right? I'm not going to lie, though. Like, you can't say the CIA isn't intelligent. I mean, it convinced every single leftist on Twitter that behind every single failure of a Soviet state is due to the CIA. Like, everything, you know, the only reason that communism didn't work on Earth is because of the CIA. Ask your fellow leftist on Twitter. You know, like, why is Venezuela bad? The CIA. Why did Cuba? The CIA. You know, like, every single fucking time. And then you're, like, wondering, holy shit, well, if socialism is so fucking good, why don't they have the CIA? Why is it, like, America failing because of the Soviet version of the CIA? Like, why isn't the KGB the one that's doing this? Can Romania buy Ukrainian land if both parties agree? Okay, I'll tell you what I heard from speaking. Take this with a grain of salt. You know, I'm like Doomcock now. You guys know Doomcock? He's a fellow YouTuber. Anyway, right. When the conflict happened, and all of this makes sense, by the way. The first people that helped Ukraine before NATO even did anything were Poland, Romania, and a couple of other Eastern European states. I mean, it makes sense due to the close proximity. The geographical area makes people here a lot more on edge about the conflict with Russia. And the first question is, what do we get out of it? So Zelensky went like, oh, well, do you want Ukrainian land? And Romania, as well as Poland, said, no, what we want is a piece of the pie. We want open market. So we want a slice of the pie of your energy industry. We want a slice of the pie of your resources. And you're going to see that after the war, and this makes sense, right? Like, after the war, all the nations that contributed to the war effort are going to all of a sudden have companies within Ukraine. Like, you're going to see German companies, you're going to see Polish companies, you're going to see Romanian companies or Romanian oligarchs owning stocks in Ukrainian companies. So no, they're not going to get land. Like, Romania isn't going to get Ukrainian land, and obviously we don't even want it. But you will see, like, Romanian entrepreneurs and business owners being able to set up shop, and the legislation is going to be in such a way that it's very easy and favorable. And both nations have to win. I mean, Ukraine has to win because the living standards of the people there are going to be increasing as foreign investors go into their country, and at the same time, Romania gets to win because money from Ukraine is going to flow in. I don't think Ukraine is going to be nuked. I don't see the interest in... like, if you're talking about tactical nukes, okay, those could potentially happen, but they're not enough to completely destroy the country to a point where what I just said isn't going to happen. Half of Ukrainian land is Polish and Russian clay. Okay. Oh yeah, eco-terrorists. You know, I didn't think about this possibility. Eco-terrorists. Like, why though? So if you're an ecological why would you destroy a pipeline and then release the gas into the water? No, I don't buy that. I love Snake Dude for life. I don't think I ever talked about him, but he leaves very funny comments on every one of my videos. Like, he's a very dedicated subscriber, and almost on all the videos on all my channels, I go through the comments section and I see Snake Dude for life leaving a funny comment. By the way, whatever happened with Abdi Muhammad? I don't see him anymore, even on my server. I don't think I upset him or anything. I think he just decided to get a job and he's unable to view my streams. Oh, I see Conspiracy Cat as well. Let me give him that. Yeah. And I like Snake Dude for life. After every funny comment, he also posts no step on Snake. Which is kind of funny because I see leftists like showing the red fist, you know, the Marxist symbol. Saying like, we will step on Snake, right? Or we will thread, and they're strangling the snake. And I'm thinking like, you do realize the implications of what you're just saying. And by the way, the British, again, I don't think they did it. Someone said, what if the British did it? The British would probably want Germany to take gas from Russia, unironically, because now they're taking gas from Norway. Britain used to take gas from Norway. So now Norway is selling to Germany, which leaves Britain out in the open. So they would have loved if things went back to the way before the war. So they have absolutely no interest. Like, Britain is probably the most unlikely of the suspects. Yeah, exactly. It's like we fight fascism with more authoritarian. Like, the whole thing, you know, I really love the symbolism of Don't Step on Snake. Like, it's a really great concept, if you think about it. So you have a snake that just minds its own business, and all you have to do is not step on it. Right? Just don't step on it. Like, do whatever you got, but don't step on the fucking snake. Like, step somewhere else. Like, you have so much places to step on, just not on the fucking snake. And if you do step on the snake, then it's your fucking fault. I guess, like, the only problem is that the snake is green, so you may step on it by accident. Right? Like, that is the only problem with the analogy. But other than that, I really love it. It's a great analogy. There is nothing more British than laughing at the Continentals. Yeah, but like, you laugh at a person when it doesn't affect you. When it affects you, it's not so funny. The snakes are everywhere. Well, you still can move them without stepping on them. You know what you can do if the snakes are everywhere? Let me show you. So this is what you can do when the snakes are everywhere, chat. Like, look at this gentleman. Right? Look at it. That's what you do if the snakes are everywhere. He still didn't step on them. I have no idea, like, how you can get to that point, though. I have no idea how you can... Like, that guy has got, like, the sixth sense. That guy has ultra instinct. Gamergate did this. Sarkeesian most affected. Oh, I see. I love how he's turning it out, like... and it's like it's normal, you know? Like, it's something that has happened before. It doesn't shake him up even a little bit. And those are Cobra, chat. Like, those are very venomous. I don't know if the guy has an actual immunity to the poison, but it's still... Alright, let me... Before I go, I want to show you the absolute state of gaming. So I made a video about it, but Blizzard, Overwatch 2, phone number. Hold on. This is from Forbes magazine. Oh, this might be the video for tomorrow. So if you're not aware, Blizzard tried their absolute best to bury their Overwatch IP, to make it as unlikely as possible for people to buy it. Don't ask me why the fuck. I think they just hate it at this point. And their recent statement is that if you want to play Overwatch 2, you have to link your phone number. So you gotta give Blizzard your phone number to play Overwatch 2, but that's not just it. No. They're also going to record all of your voice chatting. So Overwatch 2 is now literally spyware. Like, when you play Overwatch 2, Blizzard listens in to the conversations that you can have with your mother. Right? Like, if you're fucking your wife while you're playing Overwatch 2, there's a guy at Blizzard listening into that. Potentially. I'm just... What are they thinking, chat? What are they thinking? I wonder if you can troll them, though. I wonder if you can troll them. Like, you can, you know, play Overwatch and talk about, like, Delta Leader, this is Papa Bear. We're approaching the Nord Stream pipeline. Papa Leader, the package is on its way. Fortnite doing the same. You know what I think? I can't prove this, but I have a suspicion. All of this shit started, like, you notice all of these gaming companies, all of... To the point where, like, no, seriously, if you were to have a time machine and you take a game that records your voice and you send it back in time to 2016, the gamers at the time would say that is spyware. Like, they would say, I'm not installing this virus on my computer. I guarantee to you, this is how people at the time thought. But now it's normal. It's like, oh, well, you know, Blizzard wants to listen into my house. Like, why not? Why the fuck not? You know, like, why can't the CEO from Blizzard just come into my bedroom and see me fuck my wife? Why shouldn't he? I mean, I bought his product. I paid him money. Might as well just come into my house. So, it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not people put up with it. So let's see why they are claiming this is normal. Because it's like, they need to link phone numbers to accounts, right? So Blizzard has revealed a ton more details about what it's doing to tackle the issue of Smurfs and toxic players. Right. Because there's no other way of tackling toxicity unless they give you the phone number account. You know what I think? Maybe in the future, they're going to ask from you for a blood sample and a piss test and a urine test, you know? Like, hey, if you want to play Blizzard games, then you have to submit a blood sample, your fingerprint, your retinal scan, a face recognition, and a urine sample. To tackle online toxicity, of course. The requirement to link a mobile phone number to your Battle.net account might ruffle some players' feathers, though especially those who have alternative accounts for various reasons. You need to find a way to have another phone number for each account. Blizzard says it won't recognize prepaid or VoIP numbers. Perhaps you've got a very kind roommate or how about I just don't buy the fucking game? How about that? Jesus fucking Christ. It's like, if it's that much of a hassle to make an account, who the fuck do you think you are, Blizzard? Who the fuck do you think you are? Like, what? Why would I do all of this hassle just to play your shitty games? It's Overwatch 2. You're not making World of Warcraft 2. You're not making, like, some other thing. Holy crap. Otherwise, you might not be able to carry the cosmetics progress, achievements, and Overwatch things. Oh, no, I might not be able to carry the cosmetic progress. Holy shit. You know, like, they're banning me from purchasing their loot boxes. Oh, Dios mío, what will I do with my life? How will I survive without purchasing Blizzard loot boxes? Right now, there is no account unification or account merge between separate accounts. By the way, they're going to do this, right? If this is successful, they're going to ask you to give your phone number, and they're going to record your voice on all of their games. Mark my fucking words. In the past, accounts were tied to a box price, so there was some sort of investment from a player into an account in order to obtain it. With free-to-play coming with Overwatch 2 launch, the initial box price is removed. The key idea is that the SMS Protect is to have an investment on behalf of the owner of that account. Oh, so you can... They're not making games for people to enjoy anymore. They're making games to manipulate people. Like, that's literally what they're saying. They decide what toxic is. They decide what the terms of service are. And they're going to say, no, you need to have an emotional investment in our game so that you behave in the way we want. For maximum security, we need a sigmoid colon fold map. Oh my fucking god. That is just... And this is from a company which does business with China regularly and bans their players for speaking out against the crackdowns in Hong Kong. To be honest, these kinds of hoops do reduce the amount of cheaters. First of all, I don't think there are that many cheaters in Overwatch, okay? Like, their problem isn't cheating, because they would have said if it was cheating. Secondly, they also want to record your voice. Like, this is what bothers me more than the phone, because the phone is like, okay, you know, we already are in the time where all the social media wants to harvest data from people, and everyone is going to ask for your phone number. So Twitter asks for your phone number, Facebook asks for your phone number, YouTube asks, PayPal, everyone asks for your phone number. Like, at this point, it's like your credit card, right? Like, I get that. I fucking understand. You know, just make a new phone. Just lend the phone number of a friend. Just you can do things around that. That's not the problem. The problem is that it has the audacity to claim that when I use my voice chat, they get to record it. That's what really pisses me off. And obviously, I don't even use the voice chat. That's not the point. You know, it's the balls on these people. Like, if you want to use voice while playing, like, let's say I genuinely want to be mean and toxic, then I can just use Discord. I can play with a bunch of friends and I can use Discord. I don't have to use voice. The age of burner phones is nigh. Believe it or not, there are places where you can't actually use burner phones. Like, there's places where they ask you for an ID in order to have a phone. Because at the end of the day, this is what it's like. It's the destruction of internet anonymity. Right? Like, they don't want people to be anonymous on the internet anymore. They want to know who says what on the internet. I mean, that's the way where things are going. There's very little you can do about that. If you want to be anonymous on the internet, I think IRC is probably the only options left. Right? So if you have an IRC server, but not only that, like, if you want to be anonymous on the internet, you would need to be with a very small community of people. So you can say whatever you want on the internet as long as it's in a small community. The moment you grow into a large community, you're done. Wouldn't this threaten VTuber anonymity? Yeah, but like most VTubers, they already give their information to the companies they work at. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure Pippa, for example, like, gave all of her information to Face Connect. Like, they probably know her address, they know her real name, they know her face. Right, so most VTubers, at least the corporate ones, like, they don't have any anonymity towards the company they work at, so. Why midstream ad? I just click it because YouTube asked me to. Dad, I haven't heard about the IRC in probably a decade. Well, it is what it is, right? But like, if you generally want anonymity, and there's another thing which really pisses me off. Like, they keep lying to people, right? Like, they're lying in my face. They're like, oh, well, it's to stop terrorism, blah blah blah. Notice how it's not to stop pedophilia anymore, because that was the argument a couple of years back, and with that I would have believed. But it's like, if you want to stop radicalism, why are you making it public? Like, if I was a person that was a radical and I wanted to talk about things that are illegal, and I know that the internet is being monitored, why the fuck would I do it over the internet? Like, if you want to talk about things that shouldn't be talked about, you either do it via phone or you use the mailing system. Because who the fuck is going to read your mail? So that would actually make more sense. But instead, it's like, oh, well, no, we're stopping terrorism online. Oh, fuck off. And again, you know, like, you can find ways around it, like IRC servers and other things. Like, the whole idea that, oh, well, there's evil people planning an attack on Minecraft. It's like, get the fuck out. You know, like, and even then, like, let's say that someone is planning an attack, you know, an evil thing on Minecraft. Well, now that they know that Minecraft is going to be surveilled, they can use another video game. Like, you can use Ark Survivor Evolved or some shit. You know, like some fringe esoteric game that has a chat. If people legitimately want to talk about bad things online. Yeah, you do it in the pub with Father O'Malley. Like, whatever happened with people meeting each other in real life? Yeah, most people are on Telegram, right? So this is why I don't believe that, oh, well, it's to stop terrorism. No, it's not. Anyway, right. Welcome to the cyberpunk dystopia. I do agree with that assessment. But anyway, right, it's getting a little bit late for me. It's almost 6 a.m., so I'm going to head out. Thank you for the donations, and thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the comment section.